how to recolor. So once you've made your photo collage, how to strip the color from the photos you imported and then recolor or colorize the final product so that you can get kind of a colored glaze, have the final image look more like a painting, and have also all the images look a little more integrated, not as though you grab them from multiple locations. What I'm going to do is open up, you can see here, this is my cloud storage in PIXLR. I'm going to open up my fantasy landscape image that I've been working on, and all I'm going to show you right now is kind of the nuts and bolts, make this bigger here, how the document is actually set up. I'm going to minimize my navigate panel, not necessary right now, and minimize the history panel, but we're going to really focus on the layers. So you can see that in this image, I've used a multitude of layer masks to composite the image, and I have in every single layer separated out all of the imported images I used to create this collage, this kind of fantasy collage. Also, as I was working along, I would lock a layer so that I wouldn't, as I'm moving, dragging, masking, I don't mess with any of my work that was underneath. I'm going to change that now. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock all the layers that I locked. Again, you can see there's a lot here. Unlock. And unlock. Again, toggling the ellipses will give you the layer commands. I'm going to go all the way to the top. Just click on this just for the sake of habit. This isn't necessary for what I'm about to do with the layers, but I will show you that sometimes you do need to collapse, maybe not all of the image, just part of it. So you always want to go to the layer, the top layer that you're going to collapse onto the rest of them when you get ready to do that. So I'm going to go up to the main menu into the layer command, and you can see down here, these are all the commands for merging layers and flattening your image so that you can take all of this complicated information and turn it into one image that you can work on. You can see if I say merge down, that just goes one step. So if there was just a few that you wanted to merge and wanted to leave the rest open to work on, you could always do that. I have everything just the way I want it, so I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image. And you can see right there, there it is. It took it all into one piece. And now I'm going to go ahead and unlock it. Okay, and then I'm also going to rename it because it's not background. It's just going to be my fantasy landscape. You can always say final, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And press enter. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, it's kind of the fun part, is I'm going to strip all the color. Now that everything's combined, it's relatively easy. I'm going to strip all the color out of this particular image, add another layer that really works just as a glazing function. So it will keep all the details from the black and white imagery, but allow you kind of play around with color it's almost like a tinted photo or a tinted black and white. So it has this kind of neat vintagey look, but gives you a lot of liberty as far as how you want to adjust the colors in your final piece. So to do first, I need to change all of this to black and white. PIXLR is a little different than Photoshop. Photoshop, you can actually just turn the image into grayscale. There's a command for that. But in PIXLR, you actually just have to take down the hue and saturation. So I'm going to go into adjustment, and I'm going to go to the hue and saturation command. And I'm going to take this slider, which is now at the middle, and I'm going to take it all the way down. You can see actually that's kind of even cool looking as it is. I'm going to take the saturation all the way down. You could even leave, I mean, this just gives you some options, but you can see you get this kind of, you know, real fairy-like vintagey look if you don't take it all the way. But I'm going to take it all the way for now just for the sake of demonstration. But you don't have to. I mean, you could leave some remnants of color and see how it works for your image. And the lightness I don't need to mess with because I actually think that the contrast is fine, as you can see. One thing I'm going to show you real quick, there's actually a colorize feature on here. And what that does is give this whole thing kind of a blue undertone, which you can actually layer some colors on top. This is another way to go about this. So if you wanted to just kind of have this monochromatic blue and then kind of have colors on top interact, I mean, that's something you can do. But again, I'm going to be working from black and white. So let me go ahead and take it all the way down again. Press apply. And that's my image. Again, like I said, you can take the slider however you want. You can fiddle with it yourself and see if there's some variations that you like. The next thing I'm going to do is add a layer, and this time I need it to be empty, okay? And you want it to transparency. Don't put a color in it or anything. I'm going to rename it colorize, okay? And I'm going to change the blend mode to fit that. I'm going to scroll down. After hue saturation, there's color. And you're going to see what this does is work as a glaze, okay? When I'm done with that, I'm actually going to go over to my brush tool. Now here you can kind of pick what you want. I usually go for a larger brush, very soft, because I'm just trying to softly put color over the top of the image that already exists. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. Now, again, you don't want to work on this regular layer because that's all going to do is work opaquely. I can't actually take this all the way up to full opacity because you're going to see it just kind of blends into the black and white below. And I'm going to start just painting on top. And you can see it works as a glaze. See that? So you can see all the detail of the bear's fur, all the value, but you can give it this nice tint, okay? And you can make this as simple or as fancy as you want. You can go in and do different colors in the grooves, but the layer itself will naturally, it will cover it, but it will always pick up the image in underneath. That's how that color blend mode works. I'm gonna go ahead home and show you the finished, an example of kind of what a finished one could look like. That low? There you go. So you can see I just kind of found different areas. Sometimes it will give you suggestions for a palette down here or some colors that you had just used. I used colors that were kind of cool and close to each other, and just kind of moved through the composition and made it, you know, made it colorful and interesting, okay? Again, you can see here where I did that, that's very opaque and kind of abstract. It just adheres to the image that's underneath. When I'm done with that, I can go ahead and flatten the image as well, and export it as a JPEG, and then I am done. And that is all.